What you manifest in your mind, you can bring to reality.
You guys hear Elon Musk was on Joe Rogan's podcast and he smoked weed? That's insane. I'm going to talk about it because I'm a huge fan of Joe Rogan. I've never really done an episode ever where I've recapped another podcast episode, but considering the kind of news this is getting, the attention that it's getting, I figured I'd throw my 2 cents out there. Been listening to Joe Rogan since the Snowflake days, many years ago with Red Band, basically just answering people's questions in a chat room. News radio and Fear Factor, huge kind of milestones of entertainment in my life that unknowingly Joe Rogan is part of all these things and not till later. Also UFC, commentator for UFC. Like all these things, like it's kind of it's an extremely weird situation for me, being that Joe Rogan's done, his Elon Musk episode is 1,169. That's the number of episodes that he's done, not including his MMA episodes, not including, just other things that he's done in his internet career. But he's an amazing interviewer. So anytime anybody new and notable is a guest on his show, it's a highlight. It's a must. It's top on the to-do list of things to watch. And I enjoy watching Jamie Vernon, amazing producer, probably the best producer out there. They, have had their technical difficulties in the future, and unlike so many producers, he actually fixes them. It's amazing. And it's a really good show. New studio looks like the same as the old studio. It's amazing. He's living the dream. I would love to have a warehouse myself to do pretty much, except for not workout equipment or bow and arrow range. I would have other things in there, but for sure podcast studios. So I'm very, I look up to Joe in a lot of ways for that reason. But he's also just an amazing interviewer. So when Elon Musk was on there, first, before I even got to watch it, saw everybody talking about the fact that he smokes weed. So, which isn't uncommon for Joe to do with guests that smoke weed or willing to smoke weed on the show. It's not a weird thing federally for some reason. Not for some reason, because of propaganda back in like the early 1900s. Weed is still federally illegal, but in California it's recreational, Denver it's recreational, Florida, Washington, so many states are becoming either medical or recreational. So the science is out. Nobody's ever died from smoking weed in the history of humankind ever. Okay? People daily drop dead from drinking too much booze, or regularly drinking booze and then quitting and dying from the withdrawals. Nobody's died ever from weed. It's not toxic. Even if animals get weed, they can get extremely fucked up, but they don't die unless they already have like severe heart conditions and they're really old. I'm sure some animals may have passed away while on drugs. So it's not a weird thing that Elon smoked weed. It's an amazing thing. I enjoy when people are open about who they are and what they're into or trying new things. Love it. Love everything he said up until they didn't even smoke weed till it was like a half hour left in the show. It's like 2.5 hour long podcast. And it wasn't until like hour 2 that he actually lit up. And he takes like a giant hit, but it's like he smoked it like a cigar. He didn't really inhale it. All the stoners out there are up in arms because it's like, he didn't even smoke it right. It's like, whatever. He's ignorant. I hate when people in general are angry at somebody who tries something for the first time and they maybe don't do it right, or if they haven't done it in a long time. It's like everybody sucks when they first do something. So give Elon Musk, he's a genius. He's brilliant, right? But, okay, maybe he doesn't know how to smoke a fucking blunt correctly. He gave it a valiant effort. I've seen way worse. I've seen way worse. So much respect to him. They were drinking a bunch of whiskey before that. That should be, why isn't anybody talking about the fact that they drank like 3 glasses of whiskey on the rocks throughout that podcast? Like a drug that actually kills people, right? But everybody's like, oh my God, Elon Musk smoked weed. We need to sell our stock. He smoked weed, now he's going to be stupid. He's not going to do anything right. And it's amazing, the interview, aside from the controversy, the interview's amazing. The tunnel system that he's building in LA, because he lives in LA and he wants to make, it's kind of similar to what Neil deGrasse Tyson was talking about on Joe Rogan's Experience, while flying cars will never work. They'll be way too loud, and it's easier to go below the surface. And he's like, you could go 1,000 or 100, it seemed more like 1,000 levels below the surface. And he explained like the tunnel system, it wouldn't be affected by earthquakes. And it's like, he's a genius. Like Rogan will ask him a question and he will pause and you can hear him think, right? Some people, when they pause to think, it's because they're slow and they have a hamster in there and it squeaks. He's not. He's got like multiple processors. He's like the real life version of the Upgrade guy, but it's like biologically engineered in his brain for him to think. And it sounds more like laser beams instead of like a squeaky hamster wheel when he thinks. But he thinks, and he's breaking down probably multiple computations of the correct answer in which way to answer this correctly for what the future may hold with this thing. They talk about like, the future of just our society. They talk about the things that he's working on. They talk a lot about the Tesla, and it makes like the Tesla is like the safest, like the reason why he's doing all these things is to make it the safest and most fun thing to ever own, right? He wants to save lives. He wants to do good in the world. He's not trying to be a billionaire for the sake of, being a billionaire. He's looking to build things like SpaceX. He wants to, be part of populating other worlds, other planets, which would help further the survival of our species. If we destroy this planet, we have other options as a species. He's looking to improve life currently for our species. Number one, traffic in LA, which I'm fine with. I'm totally fine with. I'm sure LA would be. I'm sure so many more people would move to LA if Elon does this. And then he does like some high speed ones to San Francisco and Las Vegas. Interesting podcast. I highly recommend watching the whole thing or listening to the whole thing, despite the fact like the conversation is weird from the jump because you realize Elon Musk, on some kind of spectrum. Clearly, I mean, he's a brilliant guy, but the way he speaks, his mannerisms and facial cues and, all of his body language is very, very different. Like, clearly, he's a brilliant engineer kind of thing, Like, if there was a stereotypical brilliant engineer guy, Elon Musk is that guy. But props, he's a badass motherfucker. I love the podcast. He's an amazing person. More people should be like him. His message of everybody should love each other is true. So go love somebody. Be nice. Try not to talk fucking hate, people. If it's somebody's first time, encourage them. Congratulate them for trying something new for the first time. And let them know that everybody gets better the more times you do it. So smoke more weed. You'll get better at it. But that's it, everybody. Go to my website. Links are up top. InspiredDisorder.com. That's it. Have a great week. Have a great day. Peace out.